Hi, I'm Chelsea, the host of Crime and Crime Again. On my podcast, I cover lesser-known true crime cases. I tell the stories that you may not have heard before. Join me in bringing light to the stories of the missing and murdered, and being a voice when their own has been silenced. You can find Crime and Crime Again anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Hey everybody, welcome to True Crime Freaks, my new podcast. I want to tell you about the different ways you can support this podcast. One is you can go to my other podcast, Lights Camera Pro, where I interview TV and film professionals about their careers. And I also do movie reviews and TV show reviews. You can check out one of my online courses. I've got an Adobe Premiere Basics course and a Secrets of How to Start a Podcast course. Those are at thinkific.com. Just search them when you go there. We also have a merch store. Just search the podcast at teespring.com and check out our hoodies, t-shirts, and mugs. I also have a children's book called Feldman Runs Away, which is on amazon.com. You can always support the podcast by going to Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen, subscribe, rate, and review. This podcast does have graphic content. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks, everybody. They sent love letters, photos to the men they loved who were in prison. They even bought stamps, pens, paper, and whatever else the jail would let them send to their man. Some of the men were in for life, and some were sentenced to death for their crimes. This is the story of serial killers' prison letters and why women send them. Welcome to True Crime Freaks, you freaks. Let's get into another chilling episode. My name is Sean Ventura. I'm your host, and here we go. Okay, so I saw the Chris Watts true crime documentary on Netflix called American Murder: The Family Next Door. And I don't know about you if you've seen it, and if you haven't, I'll fill you in on what happened, but this guy was a normal guy who was having an affair, and completely unexpectedly, I knew it was a true crime documentary and people were saying it was good, so I should watch it, so I'm assuming that he killed his wife, and that's devastating and that should never happen. Nobody should ever murder their wife. But the thing that really hit me, because I have kids, is that he killed his young children. They were 5 and 7-year-old kids, and he murdered them. Took them out to a field and buried their bodies in these tubs in a factory. So it's a horrible, heinous, disgusting, evil crime that this guy committed, murdering his entire family. And we're talking today about serial killers and the prison letters that they get, the love letters that they get from groupies, and why are women mostly, we actually have one letter from a man, a young high school guy, but why do people send love letters to people who have committed heinous crimes? We're also going to talk about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. He actually ended up marrying someone that sent him letters. And we're also going to talk about Ted Bundy a little bit. And I'm going to read a few letters just so we can hear what these people wrote to these killers, which I totally don't understand. But there are some reasons for it. We're going to find out why. And it does make sense on certain levels. People trying to save other people, and super religious people, and people just wanting to be famous and get attention. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But here we go. Let's go into Chris Watts' letters, and we'll read some of them now. I'm not doing these in any particular order. I haven't decided which ones to do when, so we're just going to read a few of these letters from women to Chris Watts and just kind of try and figure out why they're sending these. And we'll talk about what a psychologist said on why they're sending these, but just listen to them. And it's really, really crazy to me, but it makes sense on some levels. And I would love to hear what you think on social media. Let me know what you think. Send a message, make a comment, whatever you want. But here we go. This is the first letter to Chris Watts, serial killer who killed his entire family, his wife and his 2 young children, a boy and a girl. And Candace writes, "Hi, Chris. This is Candace again." It's marked 9/7/18. "So I called the Weld County Jail and talked to someone, and he said that you would need to add me, but if you don't, then that's fine. I'll just continue to write letters. LOL," with a smiley face. Anyway, I hope that you're doing okay. Believe it or not, I think about you often. Well, actually a shit ton, LOL. My cousin shared a news story about you on Facebook, and honest to God, I got so upset about the stupid ass comments that assholes were saying about you. Oh my God, I was legit mad as hell. I absolutely do not believe what everyone is saying about you. In my eyes, they're all wrong. Like I've said in my previous letters, that I really do care about you. Don't ask me why. Maybe I'm nuts, crazy, LOL. Chris, I will stop writing you if you want me to. It's just that I want you to tell me that. I was so hoping that I would have heard from you by now, but nope. And then it continues on the back page, and I don't have the back page. But that is the first letter from Candace to Chris Watts. Not horrible, but you know, she obviously doesn't believe what people are saying about him, and she's on his side, and she wants to help him, and she wants a letter really bad. This letter is from Hannah, and Hannah is in jail for financial crimes. It's dated 8/16/18. Chris, and it's a very, it's almost like calligraphy. The way she did it, she took some time writing his name, Chris. "Hi there, you're probably wondering who I am and why I'm writing to you. So let me try to explain, and I'll tell you a little bit about who I am. First off, I hope this letter finds you getting through the day as best you can." Smiley face. "My name is Hannah, and I've been the property of the DOC since June 14th. She's in prison. I've been following your story for the past few days, and I just really feel the need to tell you that you've got a complete stranger hoping that you're doing all right and sending you lots of good energy as you start down this path. You are not alone. Without going into too much detail right now, I'm sitting on a 13-year sentence for a financial crime and will see parole in November. However, my case was very high profile, and I can tell you right now that the media makes the worst situations into hell. I think that's why I feel this connection to you, because the coverage and assumptions of you and your case already has me feeling irritated for you. Underlined 4. I hope that makes sense. I can only offer this advice to you, Chris. Don't talk to any type of media. They all suck, in capital letters. They will beg for interviews, try to come see you in jail. They'll pull out all of the stops for a few words from you. I will never, and it just ends there. So, okay, so this letter here, this woman is in prison. She's going to be there for 13 years, maybe a year, but up to 13 years. And she's stuck there alone in prison. So I understand that maybe she's writing this letter and it's passes her day, because you're just sitting in a room most of the day, unless you're going out to eat food. And some people are, allowed in the yard for an hour a day. It depends on the case. She's financial, so she probably gets out more. But you can understand a little bit why she's just writing a letter. I mean, I don't know how people skip the "I'm a monster and I killed my whole family" thing, but whatever. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm trying to figure out if it makes sense to you or anybody listening to this podcast. And I just had an idea that if anyone out there has written letters to prison inmates and was a pen pal for any reason. Hopefully serial killers are killers. I don't want to just, talk to people that, did financial crimes or, I don't know, did a robbery or something like that. But someone who's talking to someone who's in jail for murder or multiple murders, I would love to talk to you on the podcast and do an interview. So find me on social media at Facebook or Instagram, True Crime Freaks, Twitter. Send me a message and we will chat offline. And eventually, maybe I'll get 2 or 3 people who have written these letters and you can explain why, because I don't understand it. But maybe you can help me understand it. All right, let's move on to the next letter. Okay, so this one's interesting. This letter, I don't think he leaves his name, but it's actually from a boy, a 17-year-old boy who's openly gay in California. And it sounds like he just kind of needs company, but you tell me what you think. I'll read the letter to Chris Watts. Dear Chris, and it's actually typed out, so it's not handwritten. It's typed out on a Word document, and it's an excerpt from it. Dear Chris, I'm sure it's too soon that I decided to write you, but I just thought I'd let you know that no matter what, you can hang in there. I know the press and media is making you stress the hell out, but just remember to keep your head held high and to take things powerfully. I am a 17-year-old boy from California, and the reason I'm writing to you is you are pretty much everywhere in the media. I can't use my phone without noticing a news post posted about you. I hope that last sentence didn't make you uncomfortable, but I wanted to be real with you. Anyway, I'm not here to write you some insults to make you feel more bad. I mean, I think the media has done that enough. I just wanted to write to you and to let you know that if you ever need to just correspond like normal human beings, I'm all for it. I am currently a senior in high school and I'll be graduating next year. My major is to be in English because I love literature so much. In fact, I am in AP Literature, Advanced Placement. That's how much literature means to me. Do you have favorite books? My favorite books are The Catcher in the Rye, The Crucible, Lord of the Flies, Of Mice and Men, and many other classics. I do like other books, but I bet they're books you obviously don't know since it's for young adults my age. I am an openly gay student in high school and sometimes it can be stressful. But since I'll be graduating in 9 months, I bet it wouldn't matter as much. Are you against homosexuals, by the way? If you are, that's totally okay. You have every right to have an opinion. My favorite music is mostly rock like AC/DC, Green Day, Breaking Benjamin, Nirvana, and all those classics. What's your favorite genre of music? Got any favorite films? I'm more of a horror movie type of guy. I love anything suspenseful and spine-tingling. Those are the ones that make me favor them. If you have any advice for me as to surviving my senior year of high school, please let me know. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Well, Chris, I sure do hope they let you read this letter. And that's all there is. So, a different perspective, an openly gay guy in high school, he's 17. He maybe relates to him in some way. Because what did he say here? He said something like, it's really hard. It's very stressful. He was saying some of the things that he thought that maybe Chris was going through. So maybe he related to him in that way. So that's interesting. I didn't think of it that way. So that's an interesting letter, but let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we have a couple letters from Richard Ramirez coming up. And we got a couple more for Chris Watts and then just a little bit of information about Ted Bundy. So let's see here. This is just a quick letter. Let's just read it. It doesn't say, it says Tammy. From Tammy, I won't judge you. Dear Chris, you don't know me, but I think you might want to. Smiley face. My name is Tammy. I'm a fan from Ohio. I'm 36, never married, was close one time, but my career got in the way. No kids, diehard OSU fan, alumni too. Sorry, but I really don't like the Steelers. I will try not to hold that against you. Anyway, I will keep this short because I'm not sure this will even get to you. I just wanted to reach out and be your friend. If you like someone who knows nothing about you, therefore will not judge you based on your current situation. That's it. That's Tammy's letter dated 8/21/18. Okay, this is the last letter for Chris Watts. It's a Ukrainian woman, and the reason why I wanted to read this woman, she grew up in New York, and we'll hear about that, but the reason why I wanted to read this letter was because she also sent a photo of her in a bikini. She has blonde hair. Here we go. Greetings from New York, Chris! ! I wanted to send you a greeting card, but I have no idea what the mail rules are there, so I'm playing it safe with a boring letter. Smiley face. There's a lot of smiley faces in these letters. At least I hope it's not boring. You're probably being bombarded with mail, huh? I hope I haven't invaded your space by reaching out. That's not my intention at all. I found myself thinking a lot about you. I wasn't going to write because part of me figured maybe this letter wouldn't be welcomed by you. But I figured life is too short to hold back, so here I am. If you've gotten this far without throwing my letter in the trash, thank you. I'm not going to bombard you with questions. I figure you'll tell me about yourself if you feel up to it. As for me, I'm an open book. You can ask me anything that you like. I promise to answer honestly. For starters, I'm 29 years young. I'll be 30 in November 27th. Really not ready to exit my 20s yet. Hee hee. I was born in Odessa, Ukraine, and Russian is my first language. I grew up in Boston, Mass, but I've lived in New York on and off for 10 years now. Have you been to New York? I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I don't think I'll ever live in Boston again. And that's the end of the letter, or at the end of whatever excerpt we have of the letter. So that one's interesting. Not a lot going on, but it was interesting that she sent a bikini picture, which could be her, could not be her, with the letter, sending the picture with the letter, which the other ones I don't see anywhere that they sent a picture. So that's it for Chris Watts. We're going to move on to another letter. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about this condition. They're saying it's an actual condition when you fall in love with a killer. It's called Hybristophilia, and it's a sexual interest and attraction to those who commit crimes. In pop culture, this phenomenon is also known as Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. Many high-profile criminals, particularly those who have committed atrocious crimes, receive fan mail in prison that is sometimes amorous or sexual, presumably as a result of this phenomenon. In some cases, admirers of these criminals have gone on to marry the object of their affections in prison. And that's what we're going to talk about in a second. We're going to talk about Richard Ramirez, married one of these pen pals, these amorous pen pals, and so did Ted Bundy. So it's really interesting. We're going to get into that in a second. Okay, so we just have one little blip about Ted Bundy from Refinery 29. And it says that when Ted Bundy, the notorious serial killer who raped and murdered more than 30 women, was put on trial in 1979, women from all over the world sent him fan mail. Many of these letters included nude pictures, and some of them even contained marriage proposals, according to Stephen Moshad, co-author of Ted Bundy, Conversations with a Killer. During Bundy's trial, women referred to as groupies would show up to the courtroom wearing their hair parted down the middle and hoop earrings on the assumption that this style matched his victims. Some of them even dyed their hair brown to match the hair color of the women he murdered. In 1980, while still on trial, Bundy married one of his admirers. He was executed for his crimes in 1989. Okay, so sending love letters to a mass murderer, killed 30 people, raped a bunch of women. I don't understand it at all, but This is totally nuts to dress yourself up as one of a serial killer's victims. So dyeing your hair brown because he killed a lot of brunettes, wearing hoop earrings because that's what a lot of his victims wore, parting your hair in the middle like his victims, that's just totally crazy. And I understand it's to get his attention if you're in love with him or whatever, but I think there's some mental illness going on if you start dressing up like his victims. It's one thing to send a letter and think you're going to save somebody or you're going to help somebody who's all alone in the world, just like you are, whatever. You know, some women just wanted to get famous, whatever your reason is, but to dress up like victims, I don't agree with that at all. And I'm never going to think that that's okay. That is just crazy to me. So tell me what you think. Okay, so I listened to this podcast the other day, and I was already sort of formulating this idea of reading letters to serial killers, amorous letters to serial killers. But then I saw this podcast and I listened to it. It was very interesting. And Richard Ramirez had sent, the Night Stalker, had sent a survey of questions to a lot of these women who sent him love letters, basically. So he would ask them, he would say, what are your likes on these survey questions? What is your favorite car? And he said that his was a Corvette. So he would answer the questions himself sometimes. Will you be traveling? Do you like sailing? What are your dislikes? What kind of music do you like? But the really interesting thing that came out of this podcast, they're talking about some different studies about serial killers and women that love them. It said that 70% of women who developed feelings for serial killers had college degrees. So they're not stupid. I'm not saying that they are stupid, but some people might say that. And I've got a comment coming up. I'm going to read a couple comments from one of these posts of these letters that's funny, saying that the women are stupid or idiots or something. Some of the women had relatives in prison, which makes sense, writing letters to someone in prison. And why not write one to someone who's famous? Ramirez ended up marrying this woman, Doreen Leroy. She was an editor of Tiger Beat magazine. They got married, and obviously he was in prison for life, and he ended up dying of cancer before he was supposed to be executed. But Doreen's family disowned her, and even her twin sister would not talk to her after she married Richard. So she must have really wanted to marry Richard Ramirez to shun her whole family and have them disown her. So that's interesting there. We're going to read one of the letters. I don't think it's from Doreen, but hold on. We're going to read a letter to Richard Ramirez. Okay, so we're going to actually read two letters. This one is from Richard to a woman. It's from Richard to Lindsay. Dear Lindsay, nice to meet you. Takes about 3 weeks to receive your mail. Yes, I'm about 6'2". How tall are you? So the town you grew up in, I'm sure everyone knew each other, correct? Do you still live there, or is Tuscaloosa another town? I do mostly simple cartoon character drawings. Enclosed is a list of items I can receive. Could you do me a favor and make 20 copies for me? Thank you. Please send pictures of yourself and any others you might have. Sign them on the back with your name. Enclosed is a questionnaire so we can get to know each other better. Would you care to fill it out? Which is your favorite type car? Mine is Corvette. Have you done any traveling? Want to wish you happy upcoming holidays. That's all for now. We'll write a longer letter next time. Sincerely, Richard. So that's cool. That's the flip from Richard to the woman after she wrote him a letter. Okay, so I have the same thing. This is a letter from Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, to a woman named Stephanie. Stephanie, hi, I received your letter. Remember this 80s video game writing paper? It's, Space Invaders are on the writing paper. Been the same routine here for me. So do you still go to rodeos? Ever heard of the Folsom Street Fair in Northern California? Strange sex stuff there. People wear dog masks, and when I was growing up, a maid let me suck milk out of her breasts. What? That's so weird. Which is your favorite musical instrument? Mine is a synthesizer. Do you ever read comic books? If so, send pic pages from them. Which is your favorite drink? I used to like Pepsi. Haven't tasted it in years though. Send sexy pics of yourself. Wishing you happy holidays. Love, Richard, with a heart. Send stamps, drawing enclosed. There's another thing I can't. Oh, make some copies for me if you can. So that was weird with talking about dog masks. And I will say that I'm not going to get into it, but on the podcast I was listening to, they were he would get very graphic in some of these letters and say stuff about his dick and wanting to have sex and all this kind of stuff. And he always said that he had a black heart and a cold heart in a lot of his letters. It's very weird, very bizarre and disturbing. So that's it for Richard. Okay, so we only have a couple more things. I found some comments on a couple of the letters that I found on the internet, and this is just a couple people's reactions to these letters from women to serial killers in prison. Marsha, January 2019. My answer to this: you can never fix stupid. What would be attractive about them? Yuck, yuck, yuck. Okay, we get Marsha's point of view. And then Zen Rainbow wrote on January 29, 2019, I've worked in correctional facilities for several years. Many of these women are insecure. They like being close to a dangerous man, but in a very controlled setting. It's their way of having control. Most inmates have many admirers. Most are very skilled players. They're in a correctional facility for a reason. That is a prison guard's perspective on why these women write these letters. They get to get close to these serial killers, but they're not in any kind of danger because they're locked up in a prison. So they get to, hear their intimate thoughts and talk to them. That's another theory. Okay, so the website Psychologist Today asked women who married serial killers why they did it. And this is what they said. This is what the women said. They said that their love can transform the convict from cunning and cruel to caring and concerned and compassionate. So they're trying to fix them, the Florence Nightingale syndrome. They want to take a bad man and make him good. There's a wounded child nested somewhere inside the killer that can be healed through a devoted nurturance that only they can provide. So once again, someone's going to take the worst of society, the worst offender, the serial killer, and they're going to give them so much love that they're going to make them into a normal person, which we all know is probably not possible, but they're going to try. They might share the killer's media spotlight and so triumphantly emerge from their anonymity, and maybe in the process even land a book or movie deal, an aspiration about as cynical and as narcissistic and self-serving. Okay, so we know that situation. We know that some of these women are doing it to get famous because they have seen that, some people have gotten a movie deal or a book deal, or 2020 wants to interview them about the killer. So I get that. I get that someone has their own mental health issues, or they're just a narcissist and they want to be famous. And this is the only way that they're going to get famous, is if they marry a serial killer, write him letters, and then maybe someone will bring them on a podcast or on 2020, or even have them write a book and make some money. So that's just a selfish reason, and that's not even worth talking about. But that is another reason why these women do this. So many reasons why these women do this. Some men also do it. And it's just been a very interesting episode researching all of this and seeing the letters from the women's side, a couple from, the serial killer side, and people have tons of opinions on this. So I will be talking about this on my Clubhouse room. It's called True Crime Discussion Group, and it is every Saturday at 8 p.m. on Clubhouse in a room called True Crime Talks, and it's the True Crime Discussion Group with Sean Ventura. So come by and check that out, and I will see you guys next time in the next chilling episode. This has been fun. Send me any questions or opinions or what you think about why these women do this on social media, and I will get back to you. And once again, if anybody out there has written letters to people in prison, especially killers or serial killers, let me know on social media and I will interview you for the podcast. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Welcome to True Crime Freaks, my new podcast. I want to tell you about the different ways you can support this podcast. One is you can go to my other podcast, Lights Camera Pro, where I interview TV and film professionals about their careers. And I also do movie reviews and TV show reviews. You can check out one of my online courses. I've got an Adobe Premiere Basics course and a Secrets of How to Start a Podcast course. Those are at thinkific.com. Just search them when you go there. We also have a merch store. Just search the podcast at teespring.com and check out our hoodies, t-shirts, and mugs. I also have a children's book called Feldman Runs Away, which is on Amazon.com. You can always support the podcast by going to Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen, subscribe, rate, and review. This podcast does have graphic content. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to Joseph McDade for the music. I will see you next time in the next chilling story on True Crime Freaks. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day. I'm Sean Ventura. Take care.